Hello, everybody. My name is Keith Bussey. I will be doing my informative speech today on diabetes. I myself have been a diabetic for 13 years now. I was diagnosed with diabetes March 12, 2000, and I've been living with diabetes for 13 years now. And I'm here to inform you guys about diabetes today. Today, I'm going to shed some light and some background information on diabetes, the different types of diabetes, the symptoms, the causes, and who's at risk, the effects, and how insulin works. Diabetes, according to diabeteshealth.com, has been around for 2,000 years now, founded by the Greeks in the first century AD, and diabetes comes from the Greek root word siphon. According to innovationinnumbers.com, diabetes there's over 26 million people in the United States today who are living with diabetes. Diabetes is also getting younger and younger by every decade. We have a lot of diagnosis of children with diabetes, which is called juvenile diabetes, which is what I was initially diagnosed with. And it's not like back in the day when older people, it was an older people's disease. Now it's starting to hit our youth and our young children today. There are two different types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2. I myself have type 1. What type 1 is that a person pancreas produces 0% of insulin, which means the pancreas is not releasing any glucose into the body. I'm sorry, any insulin into the body to get rid of the excess glucose. So what type 1 diabetics have to do is give themselves an insulin shot with either a needle or syringe or an insulin pen, which has been out for about 13 to 15 years now, and an insulin pump, which is like a little iPod machine, and it's attached to the abdominal area, and it constantly uh, flows insulin throughout your body for a 24-hour period versus giving yourself a syringe and on every meal you just get that continuous flow of insulin. Um, Type 1 diabetics have to check their blood sugars at least 3 to 4 times a day, which is recommended every meals and nighttime before they go to bed. Um, they're also either on two different types of insulin, which is your first is your long acting insulin, which is a 24-hour, which is your baseline insulin. And then you have your fast acting insulin, is which what you take with your meals, which is your peaks on top of your baseline insulin. Um, Type 1 diabetics do have to follow a strict diet as far as carbohydrate counting and watching your sugar intake. Now, type 2 diabetics, different significantly, not significantly, but they do different from type 1. Type 2 diabetics, their pancreas does still produce insulin, but their their pancreas doesn't produce enough insulin into the body to get rid of the excess glucose. So their treatment is usually done with a pill, like glucophage. Um, but mainly a type 2 diabetic is treatment is more along of controlling it with a diet so you can't fall into being a type 1 diabetic. A type 2 diabetic can fall into the category of a type 1 diabetic, but a type 1 diabetic can never go and be a type 2 diabetic because it's like their bodies has attacked the pancreas, so therefore their pancreas is not producing any insulin at all. There are different as far as symptom wise, um, there's frequent urination, there's excessive thirst, there's excessive hunger, weight gain, weight loss. You'll be very fatigued, very irritable. You'll have blurred vision. You may have a cut or bruise that you got 2 weeks ago and it won't heal right, or it's taking a long time to heal. You may have itchy skin. In men, you may have some sexual dysfunction, or you may have tingliness or numbness in your hands and feet. These are all signs of diabetes. We should be aware of these symptoms because it's very serious. Many people have died from these symptoms, not knowing that they're diabetic. Um, the causes of diabetes, um, what most people think it is just eating a lot of sugar, which that is incorrect. A person can eat a lot of sugar and never be diabetic. It has a lot to do with your family history. If you have any autoimmune deficiencies, such as Graves' disease, Crohn's, rheumatoid arthritis, um, but it still does fall under having a poor diet and being obese or morbidly overweight, um, are all factors into causing diabetes. Also, ethnic background has a big role in uh, the causes of diabetes. Um, Now, the effects on diabetes, a person who is diabetic, you may be around a person who's diabetic. Here's, a little information that you want to look for, that if you ever around someone who's diabetic and they're not feeling well, you can grasp some of these symptoms that could be wrong with them. First, we have what they call hypoglycemia, which is when the blood sugar is low in the body, which a person who has hypoglycemia, it happens very fast. They'll either start sweating excessively, they'll be dizzy, they'll have blurred vision, they'll have slurred speech. It could get as bad as to them passing out, having a seizure, going into diabetic coma, or dying. Um, if this ever happens, you want to have an emergency kit. What diabetics have for hyperglycemia, sorry, is a glucagon emergency kit. And what it is a cube of sugar. You put the syringe in the valve, you shake it up, and you stick it in their leg, and it's supposed to bring them back in. You always dial 911 when someone has a case of hypoglycemia. The next um, the next effect of being diabetic is hyperglycemia, which means that the sugar levels are way too high for the body. Um, According to the Diabetic Association, a normal blood sugar is from 70 to 140. Anyone with hyperglycemia is excessive, has either had excessive sugar, excessive carb, haven't taken their insulin, or could be sick or have an illness that is causing their blood sugar to drive up. What you want to look for a person who has hyperglycemia is excessive thirst. They're going to be going to the bathroom a lot. They're going to have blurred vision. They may vomit. May have some nausea. Um, they could either pass out as well. They're going to be very fatigued, very weak, very fragile, and you want to make sure that you check their blood sugar. If possible, call their doctor so they can give you instructions on how to give their insulin, and always dial 911. What is insulin? Insulin is a hormone. It makes up it makes up our bodies. It goes throughout our body cells. Sorry, and it absorbs glucose from the blood, which is stored in our liver and our muscles, and it stops the body from using fat as a source of energy. Um, like I stated before, I'm diabetic myself, and I've had hypoglycemia. I've had hypoglycemia. I've actually have hypoglycemia unawareness, which means that my blood sugar falls low. I don't feel it. Um, Diabetes does take a lot of wear and tear on your body. You can lose your limbs. You can have heart problems. Um, you can have liver problems, you can have kidney problems, which the number one thing is heart and kidney problems and blood flow problems um, associated with diabetes. That is why people lose their legs, they lose their arms, and different limbs and parts of their bodies. So I just want to make everyone aware that diabetes is real, and we just have to be leery on how we eat and make sure that we have a strong, healthy diet so we don't become diabetic because it's not fun. Um, I just wanted to make everyone more aware and, bring more attention and shed light on diabetes so our children won't fall into the category of being juvenile diabetics and having to transition over when they're 13, like myself, and you're used to eating sweets and you just have to stop all that. But as long as you follow your doctor's orders, you do exactly what the doctor tells you to do. Take your insulin, count your carbohydrates, watch your sugar intake. Living with diabetes is not the end of the world. We can overcome uh, living with diabetes as long as we follow the regimens correctly, and it doesn't involve a lot of math. As far as nutrition wise, you have to measure your food and make sure you count your carbohydrates. I can't stress that enough. With being diabetic, counting carbohydrates is more important than counting just sugar. You have to count your carbohydrates, learn how to read your food labels, eat more fruits and vegetables. Um, Always carry your nutrition chart with you because things out there that we don't think will drive our blood sugars up will, like fruit. Is a carbohydrate, so which should be counted. And a person who is type 1 diabetic should take insulin when eating, like, say, for instance, an orange. If you want to gather up any other information, I recommend medicalnewstoday.com, google.com, ask.com, innovationinnumbers.com. If you want any background information about diabetes, you can go to diabeteshealth.com. This is where I gathered up all my information for my speech today. And I strongly recommend, if you have any other questions or concerns, that you visit these websites. I want to thank everyone for listening to me today about diabetes. Hopefully, this puts a little bug in your ear about the seriousness and severity of diabetes. And if you have any family members who are diabetic, you know what to look for now. Thank you for listening to my informative speech about diabetes.